this is Aidan's Toy Trove. What I have been busy with this week is preparing for BreyerFest. BreyerFest will be held in conjunction with the Northwest Horse Fair and Expo in Albany, Oregon, and it's March, I want to say, the 20th, 21st, 22nd. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll put it in the notes below the video. I've been preparing horses to bring to it. We're bringing a large variety of new unbox, which will include current runs and retired horses, as well as a large variety of loose models that aren't in their boxes. So this is what I pulled out, or actually pulled from the shelves today. These have been really dusty, so I washed them, and some of these will be coming to BreyerFest, some of them won't. The reason being, when we set the horses on the table at a big expo like the horse fair, there's a pretty decent chance of the table getting bumped and models playing dominoes, and I don't want to risk that with really nice models. So in general, I won't be bringing any high-end models unless you guys are requesting it, in which case I'd be happy to bring them and tuck them under the table and pull them out for you to take a look at. This guy is Giltage. He's the Hackney pony mold. He was, I believe, a Just About Horses special run many, many years ago. He's a gold Florentine, and he came with a die-cast metal truck, which I also have, and including the box, and I believe he's got a certificate of authenticity. I think I'll bring one of these to BreyerFest. As is typical with this particular mold and model, and with a lot of Florentines, is that his white is off-white. It's not a bright white color. It seems to be something that happens to this Florentine color a lot. I know in my fanfares that happened as well. I don't know that I've had any other Florentine. Oh, the saddlebred clock horse. I forget what his name was. I think he was just like an anniversary model. He tended to yellow as well. But this is a glossy gold Florentine, and he has blue ribbons in his mane. And I believe this is the model that they had so many extra of that they ended up painting over it and making Excalibur, who was a chalky black Hackney, and then he had white socks and I think a star, but the white markings were chalky since he had been a painted over model of this. So kind of a fun piece of history. This is the Aristocat Hackney mold. This is good old Phar Lap, the original Phar Lap. This one has a pretty nice color, very rich. Sometimes these fade. Not much yellowing on this guy at all. He has kind of that that moon swirl on his head. And he's got two hind socks. He's the Phar Lap mold, so he's a little bit tippy, and he's in really, really nice condition. So I'm kind of tempted not to bring him to BreyerFest, although he's definitely not a high-end model, but we'll see. And that's Phar Lap, the original Phar Lap. So for your racehorse fans, you probably have that in your collection. And this guy here is the Akelteki. He's the Lonesome Glory mold, and I am going off the camera here. I'm sorry. Excuse the reach. I'm just going to put some models over here so we have a little more room to work with here. I guess I should have placed the camera better. Okay, this is the Akelteki on the Lonesome Glory mold. And I am closer to the camera than usual. I'm just not with it today. I got a new phone, and it's a lot bigger than my other phone, and it doesn't work quite right with the tripod, and I'm still getting used to it, so bear with me. This guy, I believe, was a limited edition, limited to the year. He's a nice golden buckskin that is very common in the Akeltekis. He's got a little bit of metallic to his coat. This guy is in kind of play with condition. He's got ear rubs, and he's got a scuff on the shoulder there and a scuff on the haunch there, and a couple other small marks, but other than that, he's really quite nice. Maybe you can see, oh, I'll go over here and where you can actually see the whole horse. So this is the Akelteki, and since this one isn't in perfect condition, this one will likely come to BreyerFest. We have Earth. We had the whole set, Earth, Wind, Water. This is Earth. He's the brown pinto. We had a Water that we posted to eBay, and he sold very quickly. Actually, all the ones that we posted to eBay have sold very quickly. That's the Dapple Gray. The Bay Pinto again here is Earth, and the white flea-bitten gray is Wind. So we actually have the bases to these guys as far as I know, but the bases are very heavy to ship. and a lot of people don't seem to want the bases because of the cost to ship. Like one is made of like this heavy solid resin and one's made of solid wood. So I'd say it adds maybe 3 pounds to the package just to ship those bases. But if the bases are something that you are looking for, let me know, because we do have them. And he has just kind of this little above the paint white mark on the chest. Typically when I say above the paint, what I mean is that the mark is sitting on top of the original Breyer paint, and there's a chance that it might come off without damaging the model. I won't guarantee that, but it's a possibility. This here, he's got a little teeny weeny white mark. It looks like there was a piece of lint maybe in the model's finish, and then it wiped off and left this little teeny weeny mark. And the only other potential problem, and not even really a big problem, is this very, very tiny, teeny tiny crack on his forehead where the seam is. This is very common with the mold. I don't know if they sanded the face seam too thin on their face there, but that tends to have cracks quite frequently. Another thing to note with this mold is on the mane, where the mane meets the neck here, it's not perfectly flush with the neck, so oftentimes you'll have a little bit of gap there. That's not really what I'd call a seam split. It's just how they're molded. I'm guessing that the mane was removable, although we haven't seen this fellow in any other mane variation, so I'm not sure on that, but my guess is that the mane is molded separately and then it's put on the horse, and this isn't always squeezed down real tight with the neck, so you see a gap there a lot. The other ones I see that on a lot are the standing warm blood mold, Iticus. His mane tends to get a little gap between his neck and the hair. This is Smarty Jones. He's a racehorse. This was, I believe, the original release on the mold. He's this beautiful, rich red chestnut. I really like this one. This guy's in pretty darn nice condition, so I don't know that he'll be brought to BreyerFest unless somebody's requesting him. It says Smarty Jones on his stand there. For those of you not familiar with the mold, he's got a really strong metal rod that comes down his leg and is inserted into the space, so there's no chance of breaking this silly plastic peg that Huck Bay and Salinero have. One thing that I will note that's common in these models with the rods in their legs is sometimes you can see the rod showing through when the horse has a white marking or an unpainted leg. You see this little bit of kind of gray poking through right there is where the metal rod is actually in that fetlock or that lower cannon bone. That's Smarty Jones. I think we just listed a Jewel and a Twilight Terror, and I think the gray Show Jumping Warm Blood. Well, hello, Kit the Cat, to eBay. So those are in our eBay store. This is Nakota in the blue roan. I think he's a really neat model. He's got these, I think they're called corn spots, or these darker spots on top of his light roaning. He's got the typical dark head that you see on a roan, and then the body lightens up. It's really nice. If you're seeing shiny spots, it's actually, I didn't thoroughly dry these horses with a towel, so they're just going to finish air drying, although I did do preliminary drying on them so they won't get water spots. And there's also Isadora Cruce, who's the chestnut pinto Nakota. This one is in less than perfect condition, so she'll be coming to BreyerFest. She has this scratch on the front of her neck, and she has this weird kind of haziness to the brown paint on the top of her back and the top of her rump there. It's actually invisible when the model's wet, so it's kind of frustrating. I've been trying to think of a way to solve that cloudiness that you sometimes see in the finish, and I don't really think there's an easy fix to it, and I think it's probably caused by moisture or maybe paint that hasn't been thoroughly mixed when they're painted at the factory, and then you get that haziness in the color, which is a total bummer. I had a Lady C who had the same thing, a Ruffian who had the same thing, a Wixom who had the same thing, so it's not uncommon. This one has a really pretty blue eye, one blue eye and one brown eye, and this is Isadora Cruce, and she's on the Nakota mold, just like Nakota over here. And this guy isn't a Breyer, he is a Peter Stone. one of the very few pewter stones that I got. I think I got him at Equilocity, that's held in conjunction with BreyerFest back when it was held at the Marriott Griffin Gate. And I believe this guy's name is Nicodemus. He is this pretty chestnut, or this dun pinto. He's got a very, very, very hard to see seam split on his back up here. And he has really nice detailing to the mold. He's got nice veining on his legs. You can see there. And he's just overall pretty. The plastic seems to be a bit heavier than Breyer plastic. Again, this guy's a pewter stone, so not quite the same as Breyer. And that is, I think, most of what I worked on today. There was also, who was the other horse that I washed today? It was Savannah Dial on the Indian Pony mold. She was really, really nice. And I think that's it. So I'll leave you guys there. Thanks for watching.